I have an English degree with a concentration in creative writing, which did not come easy. I will never forget the first day of one of my upper level creative writing classes when the professor walked in and tore apart everything, everything we knew about creative writing. He told us we were not there to write happy stories, but to dig deep into ourselves and write tragedies. Imagine you're 20 years old and you have to write a tragedy. It was a little intense and not something I excelled at, but it taught me more about the writing process than anything I'd had before or truly after. I think about Brent Spencer every time someone says they need to tell their brand story or they need to figure out how to be better at brand storytelling. Outside of practicing the craft, which includes writing every single day, even if you don't hit publish, you need to write every single day. It takes a lot of gumption to craft a brand story. It's as easy as digging deep into yourself to write a tragedy you will have to share with your peers and let them pick it apart. And that's why most brand stories simply disappear into the void. We've all seen it happen. The meticulously crafted campaign that generates zero engagement, the authentic brand narrative that feels painfully contrived, or the compelling story that somehow fails to translate into measurable results. But unlike digging deep into your inside yourself as a 20-year-old to write a tragedy you don't want to have see the light of day, most brand storytelling falls flat, not because you don't want it to see the light of day, but because it's too self-serving. It places the company at the center of a narrative that customers simply don't care about. Others miss the mark by being disconnected from their audience, telling stories that fail to resonate with the very people they're trying to reach. And many brands sabotage their efforts by delivering inconsistent narratives across channels, confusing customers about who the brand is and what it stands for. But effective brand storytelling isn't just possible, and it's not scary either. On this week's SpinSucks podcast episode, we'll examine where most brand storytelling goes wrong and the specific steps you can take to get it right. Welcome back to the SpinSucks podcast. I'm Jenny Dietrich. How many of you have been asked to produce content or write a news release or create social content that you know deep down no one cares about? No one cares about your latest hires or your new product release or the big client you just won. It's the equivalent of going on a first date and having someone talk to them all about themselves for 2 hours straight. No second date for that person or for you for that matter. What is the story? No one wakes up thinking about your brand's achievements, except maybe the CEO. They wake up thinking about their own challenges, goals, and desires. When you make your brand the hero, you're essentially asking customers to celebrate someone else's success rather than imagining their own. So, what should you do about it? Well, flip the script entirely. Your brand is not Luke Skywalker, it's Yoda. You're not Frodo carrying the ring to Mordor, you're Gandalf guiding the way. Your brand is not Harry Potter destined to defeat Voldemort, it's Dumbledore providing the wisdom, tools, and guided needed for the journey. You're not Katniss Everdeen winning the Hunger Games, you're Haymitch sending in the life-sending supplies at just the right moment. Shall I go on? I'm actually really proud of myself for those. I spent a lot of time on that. Thank you very much. This mental shift transforms everything about how you communicate. Start by mapping your customer's journey, not your brand's journey, your customer's journey as an actual story with these elements. Number one, what pain points are they experiencing right now? Number two, what obstacles keep getting in their way? Number three, how does your brand step in as the guide, as Dumbledore, as Haymitch to help them? Number four, I'm sure those don't make sense if you haven't read those books. Number four, what does their success story look like after working with you? Stop saying things like, our software automates workflows, and start saying, meet Sarah, a marketing manager drowning in manual tasks. With your brand, she automates her workflows, saves 10 hours a week, and finally gets time to focus on strategy. So here's an exercise I'd like you to try today. Take your current brand messaging and rewrite it using this simple template. Are you ready? Before using our product or service, our customers struggled with specific pain point. After using our solution, they were able to achieve specific outcome or success. Before using our product or service, our customers struggled with specific pain point. After using our solution, they were able to achieve specific outcome or success. This completely changes how you think about your brand's role in the customer's life instead of your customer's role in your brand's life. So here's an uncomfortable truth. If you're not actively shaping your brand's story, someone else is doing it for you. Your competitors, unhappy customers, former employees, industry critics. You and I have both seen examples of when brands get caught flat-footed, constantly reacting to conversations they should have been leading. Most brands take a passive approach, letting the market define who they are. They wait until there's a problem, and then they scramble to correct misconceptions that have already taken root. By then, it's often too late. Though I may be preaching to the choir, this is worth repeating. You need to be proactive, not reactive. Shape your narrative deliberately across all channels. This doesn't mean controlling what others say about you, which is impossible, but it does mean establishing such a clear, consistent story that it becomes the framework through which others understand your brand. So if you want to switch that, you want to do a quick audit. So look at the last month of content across your Peso model channels, across your paid, your earned, your shared, and your owned media, and ask yourself, are we telling a consistent story, or do we have multiple disconnected ones? Is our customer positioned as the hero in every piece of content, or are we being too self-serving? Where are the gaps in our narrative that competitors could exploit? This audit will immediately show you where you're ceding control of your story. Once you understand those gaps, you can start by creating what we call pillar content, or comprehensive resources that define your perspective and your approach. Owned media is the best place to start because you can control the storytelling and the narrative. Use this content to reach your audiences through shared, earn credibility through earned, and amplify through paid. So in just a few minutes, I'll talk you through 2 more steps you can take to create authentic reputation protecting stories. I'll be right back. Welcome back. We've talked through mapping your customer's journey as a story and the importance of taking a proactive approach. Now let's discuss how to collect real stories led by real customers and how to keep storytelling consistent across channels. Let's be real. Nobody trusts corporate speak anymore. We've all grown allergic to jargon, buzzwords, and carefully sanitized messaging that feels like it was approved by 17 lawyers before seeing the light of day. Heck, many of us have corporate bingo that we play during meetings. And we all collectively roll our eyes when we hear certain words. If you want a bingo card, I'll send you one. We all hate it, and yet we still do it. The biggest mistake brands make is confusing brand approved with authentic. We collect generic testimonials, great product, highly recommend, instead of real stories. We polish everything to perfection, removing any hint of struggle or imperfection, which is actually what makes stories relatable in the first place. So stop hiding behind corporate language and perfect case studies. Start showcasing real customers with real struggles who achieve real results, but not without some challenges along the way. And when things go wrong, and they will, resist the urge to hide. The most powerful trust-building tool you have is transparency, especially when you've gone through difficult times or you've had a hurdle to jump over or there's been a challenge that's been really challenging to overcome. If you hide when you're going through difficult times, you damage your reputation far more than brands that acknowledge problems and show how they're addressing them. I was actually struck during the Grammys this year when recording agency CEO Harvey Mason Jr. introduced The Weeknd after he had boycotted the event 3 years in a row. Instead of chalking the artist's performance, the boycott, up to being childish, Mason leaned into the boycott to learn more. He listened to what The Weeknd had to say, and they made amends. When he introduced him before he performed this year, he spoke to all of the things they did to listen and to make change. And because of that, he was thrilled to welcome the weekend back to the stage. He didn't hide, he didn't criticize back, he listened, which in turn ended the boycott. Try this today. Find one customer story, a real one, not a testimonial, and restructure it to include the following: the specific problem they faced, not generic pain points, but specific problem, the obstacles that made solving it difficult, how your brand guided them through the process, and the tangible result it had on their life or on their business. This shift from testimonials to stories transforms your content from promotional to persuasive and puts someone new in the customer's shoes to understand exactly how you can help them. And then the last thing is really keeping storytelling consistent across all your channels. And I think this one is really important because especially when you have multiple people working on multiple things like paid and shared and earned and owned, for instance, the messages are going to be different and you have to make them consistent. Storytelling consistent across all channels is where things fall apart for most brands. And that's teeny tiny brands all the way up to the big guys. They all don't, nobody does this correctly. Well, not nobody, but a good majority do not. The social media team is telling one story, PR is pushing another angle, the website has different messaging, and the sales team is working with another script. In all of the Peso Mall work we do with big brands and small, the most common issue we find is lack of integration and inconsistency. The LinkedIn page talks about being enterprise focused, while the Instagram shows you as quirky and casual or boutique and fun. The website emphasizes quality, while the advertising pushes low prices. Customers encounter these contradictions and simply don't know which version of your brand to believe. A brand storytelling playbook will solve that. It will create alignment across all channels and all departments. This isn't about being rigid. It's about ensuring that whether someone encounters your brand on social media, through a news article, through an ad, or on your website, they're getting the same story. Define your core narrative, the non-negotiable elements of your brand story that must remain consistent everywhere. And then train everyone, not just marketing, everyone on how to communicate within that framework while still adapting to different channels and different audiences. Do this today. Audit 10 random touch points where customers might encounter your brand. Social media posts, web pages, emails, landing pages, ads, PR mentions. I recently had a friend do this for her business. She wants to attract higher paying customers who already value marketing and communications versus small businesses who just need someone to take it off their plates, but don't really understand it. She came back and said, "You were right. I'm attracting micro businesses." I know because I did an audit of your stuff. And yes, I'm glad you came to that conclusion. If you want to attract enterprise businesses, we have to start to change that messaging and make it consistent across the board. Okay. See how all of this works together? You can't just tell a story through your thought leadership content and expect to translate it automatically in all of the spots. When you do your audit, examine each for, is the customer positioned as the hero? Is our brand role consistent? Are we the guide? Are we Dumbledore? Are we Haymitch? We're not Katniss or Harry Potter. Do the key messages align or conflict? This quick audit will reveal whether you're telling one cohesive story or multiple competing narratives. And there you have it, my friends, a quick guide to enhancing your brand storytelling efforts. In a few weeks, I'll come back to walk you through how to develop a comprehensive brand storytelling strategy that puts all of these principles into action. Until then. If you want to learn more about brand storytelling, join us in the SpinSucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm, and build relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. That's spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. I hope to see you there. And if I don't, I'll see you here next week.